I know it and you know it. DECA does not do a good job at knowing what the players actually want. So here's 30 things that I think DECA should do. DECA should stop doing big updates only, and by that I mean they should do smaller patches once in a while. So I don't know how often you guys see that there's an update for Realm of the Mad God, but it isn't often. And we usually get larger updates at a mostly regular pace, but smaller updates that would just polish the game would be better, and they almost don't exist. It seems that DECA just wants to wait to make their major updates just absolutely massive with both content and bug fixes. The DECA is in a unique situation that they can push updates without having to go through things like Steam because they have their own launcher. Making smaller updates would also just show DECA where some issues might be coming from. With the introduction of things like patience, I think that we should be able to force 8x8 sized sprites. The huge 16x16 sprites are usually really nice, and don't get me wrong, but being able to see my proper hitbox is also important in a bullet hell game. Pet and player skins should be optimized case by case. I mean, like, honestly, some skins they have been adding are really small but are actually really large. This offsets things like buffs and debuffs, and it just kind of makes things feel a bit off. Every day, players get access to a quest called Potion Fusion, and basically you can change 3 potions into 1 greater potion. But having more than one of these quests would be great. Sometimes we just get bad luck and have the same Potion Fusion quest multiple days in a row, and while sometimes that would be nice, having some variety means that we can grind different dungeons for different potions and the game would be less stale. Speaking of the Potion Fusion quest, I think we should be able to double click from our pot storage. We can double click things from our vault to get things into our inventory, but we cannot do that for the pot storage. When using the quest to get greater potions, this consumes a lot of extra time, and we could be using that time for grinding. While double clicking from your pot storage could be a nice quality of life feature, saving more time would mean that we could have the Tinkerer tied to our vault. Now this one might be a bit tougher, but having the Tinkerer tied to your vault just means that you don't have to go back and forth and just suffer through the loading time of the vault. Something that could also save a bunch of time is having tokens be tied to the account. Tokens can take up a lot of space, and lots of players don't really have that much storage space that they can use to store these tokens. We can already track dungeon completes through our characters, but maybe having tokens tied to the account could be nice and could save a lot of space for players. I don't know if this one's just a me thing, but I think DECA should, fix the beta gate in 03. This issue has literally been in the dungeon since it was released, and more people are exploiting it for easier 03 runs. Literally just move the gate over. Sometimes when I go into my vault, I just want to see what weapons I can use on a specific character, but when the vault just kind of sorts itself like backwards, it's kind of hard. So being able to sort by equipable/usable items could be really nice. The launcher running in the background takes up a lot of wait, what? They fixed it? What? When did they do that? Well, good on them, I guess. Yeah. Sometimes when doing certain things, I will actively use the map to seek out information, but the map should be more fluid with ranges instead of fixed annoying ones. Now, one of the biggest areas that I see this is shatters. Trying to zoom out enough to see the whole King Arena is very annoying and it is also not really good, so being able to have a fluid range would be nice. I don't know about you, but I personally bind things to other things. Like, my 7th slot is not actually bound to 7, it's actually bound to tab. Though not having 7 bound to 7 is actually pretty annoying when I'm just doing small things like drinking potions, or using 8 note drops at the same time. Being able to double bind things would be a nice quality of life change. When you try and swap items too fast, you will hear this sound. Now, being able to swap items faster could potentially lead to a higher skill ceiling in the game, but I don't know why. It's probably, like, the delays probably have to do with some, like, dupe or something like that. I don't know, but it's just kind of stupid. Another alternative could be to swap multiple items at the same time. So before we were allowed to put more than just health and magic potions in our quick slot, they made a change that if we were sickened or quieted, we wouldn't be able to use health or magic potions respectively. When we got the change that let us use more things in the quick slots, that feature was reverted for some reason, and it makes no sense. I kinda want it back. Having one soundtrack for all areas of a realm or dungeon can suck. One of the main complaints for some players is that music in some areas of the game are just not fitting. so having music that would change depending where you are could bring more life into the game. The new player experience is kind of not great. Lots of players don't know where anything is. Maybe adding where items drop from in descriptions could be cool. For example, like a demon blade will drop in the abyss of demons. Lots of players have issues between their server sides and client sides. Although there's probably never going to be a perfect fix, maybe having it be more forgiving would be nicer, and way less frustrating. A long while ago, we had the option to adjust our camera rotation speed up to 2 times or even lower it down to some minuscule amount. We had it and now we don't. We just have these 3 options for slow, normal, and fast. However, other options had gotten better treatment, like the opacity change, where we can now go all the way down to 10% instead of the 50% cap they used to have, which I don't know why it was that. Basically, I just want the options to make more sense, you know? If it looks like rum, then there's no harm in giving it to us, right? This one just might be a first world problem, but I wish we had arrows for the forge. This one is just because players that have way too many STs for their own good just have to scroll forever just to see what items they actually have to forge with. So adding an arrow to just condense this entire thing down to just the category would be really nice. Also, speaking of the forge is so horribly organized. Like, we just got an update that gives us categories per dungeon, and it's still only able to be organized alphabetically. Like, please, holy shit, just let us sort the goddamn forge. Buffs and debuffs should be on different layers. And what I mean by that is when there's a ton of buffs, like whenever there's literally any event with any of the things that are spawning in the realms, it's just too much. I think that if buffs and debuffs were just on different layers, we should be able to see what the fuck is actually going on, and it would be less confusing. Oftentimes you'll notice that one of the servers is completely populated, and this is probably the trading server if you've ever tried to get in there. Except it's really funny right now because DECA kinda shit their pants and nobody's playing Realm right now. Something that could probably make this more efficient is if there was just a dedicated trading server. As in, the server doesn't have any bazaars, there's no realms, no shop, no nothing, it's just empty with a higher player count and people can just go trade. When farming for pots, it honestly just takes so long to get to Godlands. Having a way to get back there would be a big time save, especially since I don't think wasting time is part of the game cycle. When you try to adjust your game volumes, this is what happens. Now, I don't think I need to be the first one to say it, but I think the volume should properly display itself while you're adjusting it so that we don't have to just keep backing out into the main menu just to see if we're right. Hey, do you ever think that sometimes DECA forgot about guilds? Guild vaults could be a fun idea for sharing non-soulbound items between you and your guildies. And besides, we can't really do anything else with fame, so guilds could also have more guild decorations. As in, literally cosmetic changes that we can purchase with guild fame. I play a game on my phone and it has guilds in it, and one of the benefits of being in a really populated guild is that the more players log in, the better rewards that you can get. As in, you can get rewards for checking into your guild. This can encourage bigger guilds, and would also just be a reason to have guilds that isn't just guild keys. Some options just don't display things correctly. Like, this option for switching things to and from backpacks is just not displaying the right button. Or a button. And why is toggle pots to max in video and not gameplay? Like, what? With the introduction of more vent god spawnings, we should be able to see where they are, regardless of how many there are. Like, if there was a hermit god and a miner, we should be able to see where both of them are without them conflicting. I'm gonna get a lot of flame for this one. Sometimes you want to do dungeons either alone or in a small group, like a guild or something. If there was a way to enter a dungeon with only that group of players, it would be fantastic. For example, there can be an O3 that is just publicly available, but you can enter it with just your party. So there's still going to be that global group that is able to go into it, but there's also that party that can also go into it with just them into it. Nobody loses in this scenario. I think that quiet should just be a clean mana wipe with no timer. This would change things like O3 quiet counter, but quiet is basically just silence plus a full mana wipe. Okay, that's the end of the video. If you want to see me complain about DECA more, I have a few other videos, but I also have this secret video that I was going to put at the beginning of this video, then decided against it. If you want to listen to that, go for it. It's just kind of over there. And, yeah.